Guys, welcome back to my channel. So there was some reason due to which I was not able to upload the videos, and I'm really sorry for that. Anyways, today's topic is very important and interesting too. So you guys must have already seen the topic in the thumbnail, that is brain and spinal cord. Basically, your nervous system is your body's command center, okay, which is originating from your brain, and it controls your movements, your thoughts, and your autonomic responses to the world around you. It also controls other body system and the body processes like digestion, breathing, and the sexual development. The sexual developmental stage is otherwise known as puberty stage. What is puberty stage? Puberty stage occurs in case of male from 13 to 18 years old, and in case of female, puberty stage occurs from 10 to 15 years old. In puberty stage, total body development occurs, sexual maturity happens, and sexual development occurs. The brain controls what we think and feel, how we learn and remember, and the way we move and talk. And the rest part of the nervous system is like a network that relays messages back and forth from the brain to the different parts of the body. And all these functions are occurs via the spinal cord, which runs from the brain down through the back. Is the brain the main part of the nervous system? This is a very interesting question. And yes, of course, brain is the main important part of the nervous system. Usually the nervous system has two main parts. One is central nervous system and another is peripheral nervous system. The central nervous system is made up of the brain and spinal cord, and the peripheral nervous system is made up of nerves that branch off from the spinal cord and extend to the all parts of the body. You can see here the total schematic diagram of the nervous system. So nervous system is divided into two parts. One is central nervous system or CNS, another is peripheral nervous system or PNS. Central nervous system contains two parts of our body. One is brain and another is spinal cord. And peripheral nervous system contains two parts, autonomic nervous system and somatic nervous system. Again, autonomic nervous system contains two parts, afferent or sensory nerves and efferent or motor nerves. Like autonomic nervous system, somatic nervous system is also divided into two types. Also afferent or sensory nerves and efferent or motor nerves. Efferent or motor nerves again divided into two parts. One is parasympathetic nervous system and another is sympathetic nervous system. Here we are discussing about only the central nervous system, which contains brain and spinal cord. So the central nervous system includes brain and spinal cord. What is brain and what is spinal cord? Brain is the most vital and delicate part of our body, which enclosed inside the skull. Brain is protected by the three membranous coverings, which called meninges. The dura mater is the outermost covering, arachnoid is the middle part, and the inner part layer is the pia mater. These are the three membranous coverings which are collectively known as meninges. The membranous contain a fluid field between them is called CSF. What is CSF? It is a cerebrospinal fluid which helps to nourish the brain and it absorbs the external shocks. Brain has three compartments. First cerebrum, then cerebellum, and then medulla oblongata. Let's see what are cerebrum, cerebellum and medulla oblongata. So cerebrum is the largest part of the brain, which contains cerebral cortex, white matter, subcortical structures. The cerebrum is divided into two parts, left cerebrum hemisphere and right cerebrum hemisphere. What is cerebellum? It is located in between cerebrum and brainstem. The cerebellum helps in balancing the body with the help of balancing liquid in the air. It helps in the movement like walking, running, dancing by receiving the information from the body. What is medulla oblongata? Medulla oblongata is also called medulla, which is the lowest part of the brainstem. The medulla oblongata is connected by the pons to the midbrain and is continuous posteriorly to the spinal cord. Here we see the word brainstem. What is brainstem? The main function of the brainstem is to connect the cerebrum with the spinal cord with the help of a system of nerve cells and the nerve fibers. It composed of three sections, midbrain, pons and medulla oblongata. Here you can see the image of brainstem. The yellow structure is the brainstem, which is occur in the brain. So what is spinal cord? Spinal cord is a long unsegmented structure which extends from the medulla oblongata. Medulla oblongata is present posteriorly of our brain. So spinal cord starts from our posterior brain. It runs down almost the whole length of the backbone to the end of the second lumbar of the vertebrates. It is covered by a thin covering of meninges. Brain also covering by meninges, and spinal cord is also covered by meninges. It is covered with the CSF. Like brain, spinal cord is also covered with the CSF, that is cerebrospinal fluid. Spinal cord is a hollow from inside and containing a cavity called central canal. Spinal cord is concerned with three functions: reflexes below the neck, carrying the sensory impulses from the skin and the muscles to the brain, conducting motor responses from the brain to the muscles of limb and trunk. These are the three main functions of spinal cord. These are the basic ideas about brain and spinal cord. What is brain, what is spinal cord, how their coverings, what is that contains, that is CSF. So these are basic ideas, basic knowledges about brain and spinal cord. Let's start our MCQs. First question: the stimulation of a muscle fiber by a motor neuron occurs at the option A, myofibril, option B, transverse tubules, option C, neuromuscular junction, or option D, sarcoplasmic reticulum. The correct answer is C, that is neuromuscular junction. Next question: an injury sustained by the hypothalamus is most likely to interrupt coordination during locomotion, short-term memory, regulation of body temperature, or executive function like decision making. The answer is C, regulation of body temperature. In humans, the Alzheimer's disease is linked with the deficiency of acetylcholine, dopamine, glutamic acid, or gamma-aminobutyric acid, that is GABA. So the answer is A, acetylcholine. The Alzheimer's disease is linked with the deficiency of acetylcholine. Question number 4. A person shows following symptoms: outburst of emotions, unpredictable moods, quarrelsome behavior, and conflict with others. Then what is the individual suffering from? Disorders related to mood, disorders related to addiction, schizophrenia, or borderline personality disorder. And the answer is D, that is BPD, borderline personality disorder. Even after the brain of a frog has been crushed, it still responds to a pinch on the leg by drawing it away. This act is an example of option A, conditioned reflex, option B, simple reflex, option C, automated motor response, or option D, neurotransmitter induced response. And the answer is B, simple reflex. Number 6. Which of these functions will be affected if the medulla oblongata is damaged? Option A, vision, or thermoregulation, or memory, or response when pickled with a needle with tactile sensation. And the answer is D, response when prickled with a needle called tactile sensation. Next question. This part of the human brain is also referred to as the emotional brain: epithalamus, limbic system, Broca's area, or corpus callosum. The correct answer is limbic system. Number 8. This is the outermost cranial appendages. What is that? Dura mater, pia mater, skull, or arachnoid. And we are already discussed about it. That is dura mater. Dura mater is the outermost layer. Next, the cranial meninges is in close proximity of the brain tissue. Option A, dura mater, option B, pia mater, option C, arachnoid, or option D, skull tissue. And the correct answer is pia mater. Next, this statement is not associated with midbrain. A, the central portion of the midbrain is composed of mainly 4 round swellings known as corpora quadrigemina. Option B, located between the thalamus of the forebrain and pons of the hindbrain. Option C, the canal called the cerebral aqueduct passes through the midbrain. Or option D, hindbrain and midbrain constitute the brainstem. The correct answer is option A. The central portion of the midbrain is composed of mainly 4 round swellings known as corpora quadrigemina. Which of the following is not a component of a neuron? Option A, hydrocephalus, option B terminal buttons, option C dendrites, or option D myelin sheath. The correct answer is hydrocephalus, because terminal buttons, dendrites and myelin sheath are the components of neuron and hydrocephalus is not the component of neuron. Which part of the brain is primarily responsible for production of speech? Option A substantia nigra, basal ganglia, or thalamus, or Broca area. The correct answer is Broca area. Broca area is primarily responsible for production of speech, which is present in the brain. Next question. Which of the following is not a part of the brainstem? I have already said this. Medulla oblongata, or cerebellum, or midbrains, or pons. Correct answer is cerebellum. What is the function of the cerebral aqueduct? To release hormones into the blood, to connect the cerebellum to the spinal cord, to control involuntary functions, or to provide a pathway for cerebrospinal fluid inside the brain. The correct answer is D, that is to provide a pathway for cerebrospinal fluid inside the brain. Next, which part of the brain controls the pituitary gland? Hindbrain, hypothalamus, hippocampus, or midbrain? And the answer is hypothalamus. Which of the following cells provide nourishment to the neurons? Glia, fovea, ions, or mitochondria? Answer is glia. Glia cells provide nourishment to the neurons. Which is the process involving the reabsorption of neurotransmitters within a synapse for later use? Option A cognition, option B reuptake, option C phylogeny, or option D apoptosis. The correct answer is reuptake. Number 18 question. Which one of the following is the primary function of the occipital lobe? Option A regulation of the hunger drive, or reception of visual impulses, or regulation of sleep cycle, or reception of touch senses. Correct answer is B, reception of visual impulses. Which of the following is not a part of the brain? Cerebellum, brainstem, foramen magnum, or cerebrum? The correct answer is C, foramen magnum. Which part of the brain moves the right side of your body? Left parietal lobe, left frontal lobe, right temporal lobe, or right frontal lobe? See the answers, and the correct answer is B, left frontal lobe. Left frontal lobe of the brain moves the right side of our body. Next, which of the following is one of the parts of the hindbrain? Hypothalamus, cerebellum, corpus callosum, or spinal cord? The correct answer is cerebellum. Cerebellum is the parts of the hindbrain. If there is an injury in the hypothalamus region of the brain, it is most likely to affect which part? Regulation of the body temperature, decision making, or coordination during locomotion, or short-term memory? And the correct answer is regulation of body temperature. A cranial nerve with the highest number of branches: facial nerve, trigeminal nerve, vagus nerve, or both B and C, that is both trigeminal nerve and vagus nerve? The correct answer is trigeminal nerve. Afferent neurons carry nerve impulses from CNS to muscles, CNS to receptors, receptors to CNS, or effector organs to CNS. The answer is receptors to CNS. The cranial nerve that regulates the heartbeat: 7, 8, 9, or 10? The answer is 10. What is 10? Because in case of mammals, 12 pairs of cranial nerve are present inside our body, and number 10 cranial nerve is responsible for our heartbeat. Only number 10 cranial nerve regulates our heartbeat. Next question. Which of the following is another name for the third ventricle of the midbrain? Diocele, paracele, rhinocele, or metacele? The correct answer is diocele. NISSL'S granules present in the neurons are made up of protein, ribosome, RNA, or DNA? And the answer is B, ribosome. Which of the following is a part of the rhombencephalum? Medulla, or substantia nigra, or thalamus, or temporal lobe? Answer is medulla. Medulla is a part of rhombencephalum. Medulla is otherwise known as medulla oblongata, and medulla oblongata is the part of rhombencephalum. A neuron that carries information from the peripheral nervous system to the central nervous system, that is afferent neuron, efferent neuron, or both afferent and efferent neuron, or none of this? The correct answer is afferent neuron. Option A. Which of the following parts of the brain controls the body temperature and urge of eating? Thalamus, cerebellum, pons or hypothalamus? The correct answer is hypothalamus. The entire nervous system is divided into two main regions: dash, brain and the spinal cord, CNS and the PNS, neurons and the glial cells, motor neurons and the sensory neurons. And the correct answer is CNS and PNS. CNS is central nervous system and PNS is peripheral nervous system. So the entire nervous system is divided into two main regions, that are CNS and PNS. Number 32. All the nervous tissue outside the brain and spinal cord is the dash nervous system: peripheral nervous system, autonomic nervous system, somatic nervous system or central nervous system. The answer is peripheral nervous system or PNS. Which of the following is not one of the basic functions of the nervous system? Option A, formulate responses to sensory stimulation. Option B, send signals rapidly between the body parts. Option C, produce major body fluids such as plasma and interstitial tissue fluid. Or option D, detect sense stimuli. The correct answer is option C, produce major body fluids such as plasma membrane or interstitial tissue fluid. Next question. Number 34. The cells of nervous tissue that are not neurons but that assist neurons are called amyloid plaques, fibroblast, leukocytes or neuroglia. And the correct answer is neuroglia. The white fatty substance that coats axons to increase signal speed is myelin sheath, microfibrils, dendrites or adipocytes. And the answer is myelin sheath. One example of a function of neuroglial cells is to: option A, add myelin to axons. Option B, produce neurotransmitters. Option C, bind neurotransmitters. Or option D, link one neuron cell to another at the synapse. And the correct answer is add myelin to axons. The example of function of neuroglial cell is to add myelin sheath to axons. Dash neuron transmits signals from the PNS to the CNS. That means from peripheral nervous system to the central nervous system. Intraneuron, sensory neuron, motor neuron or ganglion. And the correct answer is sensory neuron. Sensory neuron transmits signals from the PNS to the CNS. An involuntary response by the nervous system to a stimulus is a synapse or reflex or motor response or smooth muscle. The correct answer is reflex. The axon has voltage gated ion channels. The term voltage gated means that: option A, ion channels open and close because of changes in the neuron's voltage. Or option B, neuron voltage is controlled by neuroglial cells. Option C, ion gates will not respond unless the neuron is in the CNS. Or option D, voltage can only be controlled by a reflex. And the correct answer is option A, that is ion channels open and close because of changes in the neuron's voltage. Number 40 question. Both the depolarization and repolarization changes that occur during the action potential are produced by ions moving across the cell membrane, small neuroglial cells that act as batteries for the neuron itself, negative stimuli, or enzymes creating new ions. What is the correct answer? The correct answer is option A, that is ions moving across the cell membrane. The movement of K plus out of the cell that makes the inside of the cells less positive or more negative and acts to restore the original resting voltage of the neuron. This is an entire process which is called depolarization, hyperpolarization, repolarization or overshoot. And this entire process is called repolarization. Next question. Arrange these action potential events in their proper sequence. First, the neuron is stimulated at the dendrites. K plus gets open. The neuron is in a polarized or resting state. Then Na plus ion gets open. Then the cell is fully depolarized. Then the cell is fully repolarized. So what will be the correct sequence? Option B is the correct sequence. That is 3, 1, 4, 5 to 6. 3 means firstly the neuron is in a polarized or resting state. Then the neuron is stimulated at the dendrites. Then Na plus channel gets open. Then the cell is fully depolarized. Then K plus channel gets open. And then finally the cell is fully repolarized. This is the correct sequence of action potential events. Next question. When the neurotransmitter molecules released from the axon terminals of a neuron have diffused across the synapse and have reached the dendrites of the target neuron, the neurotransmitters, option A, enter the target neuron by the membrane transport proteins, which is called ion channels, or diffuse out of the synapse without causing any response in the target neuron, or bind to the receptor proteins, or stimulate neuron growth. And the correct answer is option C, bind to the receptor proteins. When a neurotransmitter binds to a receptor on the target cell, it causes the target cell to have a repolarization or growth phase or growth inhibition or action potential, and it causes the target cell to a action potential. So option D is the correct answer. A bundle of axons in the PNS, that is in peripheral nervous system, is called a tract, nerve, nucleus or ganglion. And the answer is nerve. A bundle of axons in the PNS is called a nerve. The right and left halves of the cerebrum, that is the cerebral hemispheres, are connected to each other mainly by a bundle of neuron axons is called thalamus, insula, corpus cavernosum or corpus callosum. The correct answer is corpus callosum. These axons are called corpus callosum. Which are not areas of the cerebrum? Sensory signals receiving areas, heart rate and breathing rate control areas, logic and language areas, or motor signal generating areas. So option B, heart rate and breathing rate control areas are not of the cerebrum part. 48. Sensations from the skin are converted to perceptions in which part of the cerebrum? The primary motor area, the primary sensory area, Wernicke's area or Broca's area? And the answer is the primary sensory area. In primary sensory area, sensations from the skin are converted to perceptions. Next, signals from the sense organs like ears, eyes, nose and mouth are perceived and or received and analyzed in what part of the brain? The cerebellum, the cerebrum, the brainstem or the diencephalon? And the answer is cerebrum. These all parts are happen in cerebrum area. So move to the last question. The area of the brain responsible for conscious thought, intellect, memory storage and processing, controlling the movement of skeletal muscles and sensations is the thalamus, cerebellum, medulla oblongata or cerebrum? And the correct answer is cerebrum. These all processes are occur in only the part of cerebrum. So thank you so much for watching this video. I hope this video will be helpful for you. So if you guys like it, then do like, comment, share and subscribe to my channel.